person or any instrument or any political organization, there's no question. But it's very tricky.
In the setup that the agency has, where the dirty work is done by contract people or one-time hirees and so forth, obviously if anything goes wrong, they can be disavowed. If the person turns bad, turns sour, and may want to speak out, and may possibly have some credibility and or evidence, well then stronger action is called for, and you can have the ultimate termination of the agent.
When the police arrived, they found Mr. Giancana laying on the floor, dead, been shot numerous times in the upper part of his body and throat. Approximately 6 shots believed to be fired from a .22 caliber weapon.
Is there anything to support the theory that Giancana's killing may have been in some way connected with his involvement with an alleged CIA plot to assassinate Fidel Castro?
We know nothing about that. We have nothing to lead us to believe that at all.
One of the conclusions the Senate came to after 8 months of study, one of the conclusions was that no foreign leader had ever been assassinated by CIA. Now, it wasn't for want of trying in Castro's case, of course, but that's the only case in which there was any substantial effort made against one. And yet, I think the world as a whole thinks that CIA was around trying to assassinate everybody, and it's just plain false.
Patrice Lumumba comes back to Leopoldville a prisoner. The former Congo premier, who was captured when he fled inland, no longer wears the tuft of whiskers on his chin that helped to identify him. His arrest provoked several clashes between Lumumba followers and Congolese army troops. But Congo's strongman, Colonel Joseph Mobutu, shown as he watches Lumumba arrive, says he is prepared to put down any uprising. Mobutu enjoys the sight of Lumumba being tied up more firmly for transfer to the garrison town of Teesville. A soldier tries to stuff into Lumumba's mouth a crumpled speech asserting his claim to power. The former premier shows no emotion. It may be the end of a chapter, but not yet the end of the Congo story.
In training down at Camp Perry at the farm, a CIA officer, middle grade officer at that time, was telling us about his career. And one of the things he threw out to illustrate the adventures you get into was finding yourself in Lubumbashi and the Katanga with Lumumba's body in the back, in the trunk of your car, driving around town trying to figure out what to do with it.
One of Mr. Lumumba's weaknesses was his propensity to turn matters over to the Soviet Union. So I would think that his death, unless it results in a kind of martyrdom that might prove useful to the Russians, would be regarded as a blow to their interests.
The CIA had developed a program to assassinate Lumumba under Devlin's encouragement and management. The program they developed, the operation, didn't work. They didn't follow through on it. It was to give poison to Lumumba, and they couldn't find a setting in which to get the poison to him successfully in a way that it wouldn't appear to be a CIA operation. I mean, you couldn't invite him to a cocktail party and give him a drink and have him die a short time later, obviously. And so they gave up on it. They got cold feet. And instead, they handled it by the chief of station talking to Mobutu about the threat that Lumumba posed, and Mobutu going out and killing Lumumba, having his men kill Lumumba.
What about the CIA's relationship with Mobutu? Were they paying him money?
Yes, indeed. I was there in 1968 when the chief of station told the story about having then, the day before, that day, having gone to make a payment to Mobutu of cash, $25,000, and Mobutu saying, "Keep the money. I don't need it." And by then, of course, Mobutu's European bank account was so huge that $25,000 was nothing to him.
The CIA works through the reactionary forces, essentially, or the middle roading or the social democratic forces, whichever ones they're trying to support. They work through these people. In the CIA, there is a distinction made between the career U.S. citizen employees